We wanted to ask locals in New Zealand to reflect on the mosque attacks in Christchurch on March 15th, 2019. Has this attack been forgotten? Could such a tragedy bring any positives? Did the attacks affect the non-Muslim community? 15 days, 15 videos, marking the 2-year anniversary of the day that shook New Zealand. This is what they had to say. Okay, the last question is like a really open-ended one. So it's something that you might want to like just give a little bit of thought on. So it's basically, do you have any words for the Muslim community or final thoughts post the attack?
My advice, or I think what I would like to say, is that you should never be afraid to show others who you actually are. I know that living in a country where you're a minority may seem so scary, especially if you're a hijabi, where the thing about hijab is, or people with hijab is, when you walk in a room, people always have an assumption about you, and like they recognize you're a Muslim. And obviously, sadly, with today's current events, there's always like a negative connotation to it. But I would hope that you would wear whatever you would like to wear proudly, and that you should never be afraid of, like speaking from your truth and explaining to Kiwis or people around you that who you are isn't just your religion. You're not defined by like your clothing or the fact that we like have to fast for a whole month. Like, oh my God, the fact that like I have to explain it so many times, and people are like, oh, you don't drink water. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm getting off topic, but it's like I don't know. I know, it's like not even water. Jesus. I'm getting off topic, but yeah, you shouldn't have to be afraid to explain to like outsiders the way that it is. Like we have our own faith, and that's okay. It's acceptable and it's welcome.
I want to say about that things like this is a very big thing, and it's like sad things. So we can't forget that day, on that time, what happened on that day, that date even, and it was like very, very, very sad day for us. And even I'm a Muslim, I can feel the pain. I go Friday for prayer, everything, but I feel people, before when this happened, people scared to go to the mosque, but now everything is okay. People feel safe, and I hope so next anymore this gonna happen never.
So like they don't show much respect to one another sometimes, and I think we should come together more and show that we are one, and we are not like that, like I don't know how to explain it, but like that we're more genuine, and we care for one another, and we should spread the positivity and and the happiness as well. So like be proud of who you are and what you believe in, and don't be ashamed of it.
Oh yes, definitely. I think we need to show what is to be a true Muslim in our actions more than words. It's easy to preach, but it's very hard to show in action. So I think if we can portray or show the people what the Islamic teaching is all about through our actions, that's a good way for other people in front of us to understand, okay, this is what Islam is all about. It's not what the media is showing us. It's not what the next person is telling me. It's not what comes in the newspaper. So I think it should start from within ourselves and with our actions. And yeah, someday, people will be more aware about us, and inshallah, get to see that side.
For all brothers and sisters in New Zealand, we are here together and we should be strong.
There is a lot of hatred in the world, but there is also love, and I think it's important that we remember that, hold that dear, love one another, and remember that. And I think this is probably just maybe, very optimistic, but at the same time that love is stronger than hate. And at the end of the day, we want to get through this together.
My only thing for the Muslim community is to try to see the good after the event. The event was catastrophic, it was traumatic, and the trauma would still live with us. But it's seeing the good in things and seeing people trying to read and know about Islam just warms my heart. I want to share this feeling with other Muslim people and even the non-Muslims. It makes me proud of living in New Zealand, a nation where after such a traumatic event they got together pretty quickly and tried to make things a bit even better than normal.
I think now that I feel like the Muslim community has more of a platform to speak out, I feel like we should use that and report any, I guess, bad things that are inflicted towards the Muslim community. I feel like that should all be reported. I feel like whenever Islamophobia or, well, I reckon any xenophobia kind of acts are inflicted upon you, I feel like people should stand up more because, like I said before, we have more of a platform to say what we want to say. And yeah.
Just be yourself. Be a true Muslim. And number one is fear Allah. And the second thing is to uphold your manners. Because non-Muslims don't read Quran. They do not read the Hadith. But non-Muslims, they read you as Muslims. So be the best of yourself in the community and be of benefit to each other. Thank you.
I feel like after the shootings, a lot of people might have gone lost and lost their faith or belief, but I feel like even though we are lost at some points, Allah will always, come back for us and make sure that He's watching us. So, yeah, have a strong faith. Because when coming here, there were points where I didn't want to pray or salat because it wasn't perceived as normal. So in sleepovers, I was like, oh, I gotta go pray, and they would laugh at me or be like, oh, okay. So, but I don't know, that made me feel like I was always ashamed, I guess. But now I'm more ashamed of my childhood self because I wasn't true to myself. Yeah, don't be afraid to say that you are a part of the Muslim community.
So I would just like to say to my friends in the community not to be afraid, I think because obviously, I think especially for women, because we're very visibly Muslim, that it's, there are some days where it was kind of challenging to practice our faith. It's kind of hard to fit in because you stand out so much, but just don't be afraid of that and let your personality shine through instead and your experience and your skills. And just there's so much more to you than your religion as well. So don't be afraid to show that.
Look, for me, is that one thing I want to really emphasize is that we need to be a proud Kiwi Muslims. I'm a proud New Zealander that I believe that this is my country, it is our nation's, and I happen to be a Muslim. So I happen to be a Muslim that lives in the country of New Zealand, so we are Kiwi Muslims. I really want to emphasize on this word called Kiwi Muslim because this is one of the most important a discussion really, that as Kiwi Muslims, we need to integrate within the team of 5 million. And I mean integrate, not assimilate. And you do know the difference because if you assimilate, you're actually melting into nothing. But integrate is like we retain the teachings of the Quran and the authentic traditions and be a proud Muslims and live in New Zealand, as a family, that we positively contribute to the economy, to the social aspects of New Zealand and all general aspects of living, that we are able to become a great member of society that is respected that positively contribute. We bring our values and nurture the values and make New Zealand's even better again. And that's my aim, really. And we hope that New Zealanders will welcome more talk, more education on Islam, and engage more. And we are more than willing to hold more classes, more discussion that is gloves off, and where all questions can be asked. Nothing's is off limits, and we can have a healthy discussions. And I only have two prerequisites or two conditions whenever we have this discussion is that A, that it has to be scientific, based on scientific sort of values, and two, that we have no emotions, meaning that we can have this robust discussion, frank discussions, and stay friends.
I think one thing, that probably the event in Christchurch, 15th of March, if there's anything that we as our community, should learn, from that, is the need for us to go out there and explain Islam to a lot of people who don't understand, what Islam is all about. I am so glad that our experience and the way our community reacted has given people, a more direct, applied understanding of what Islam is all about. In terms of when Muslims are faced with crisis, or when Muslims, are harmed, the way, we behave, the way we carry ourselves, and the way we always look at, the history of our stay, in New Zealand. I'm sure our reaction is informed by the way we have lived in New Zealand and our religion. So, I will encourage people who are not, in our community to learn more about Islam so that we can have better understanding. And then our own people who are Muslims also to go out there and learn about, others, in New Zealand. So that together we are all informed about each other, and then we will be able to have korero, we can talk, and we can understand. And then through that understanding, we can have a more harmonious, coexistence, and we can live together as, friends and neighbors and as countrymen.
So to the Muslim community, I just like to say that always stay strong. Remember that you're not alone, that you are always welcome in New Zealand, like I have been, and know that God is always with you, and yeah.
What has amazed me is the resilience of the women. They have shown such strength, and I've used the analogy before. It's kind of like a plant that grows out of burnt ash, like when there's a fire that devastates a forest, and then you see all of a sudden this pop of green, and that's what's happened with the Muslim women. Is even in that horrific circumstance, they have insisted that they're going to rise, and they have. And I know what strength and depth there is amongst our community, and the Muslim women, not just in Christchurch, but nationwide, have just shown this strength that we are going to rise above this, and we're going to make sure that our family does too. And so they're not only investing in their own upbringing and bringing themselves up, but they're bringing their whole family up with them, and it's very inspiring. And it gives me a lot of hope for our community, but it also gives me a lot of hope for our nation, that if women have this strength here now in this place, I can only imagine what we could do in this world if we actually set our minds to it. I do worry about our Muslim female youth, because we grew up, I grew up in the West and then moved to New Zealand and chose it because it was so safe and beautiful and things. And our youth realized that a bit of their innocence was lost, and that they realized that the world is not as safe and as peaceful as they had hoped and as they had grown up in. And I just don't want them to be jaded by this experience. I want them to have that hope that I felt as a teen, in my 20s, and I want them to get that hope back. And so my efforts now and going forward are focused on building up our community. Defending it needs to be everyone, in the sense of making sure that everybody is safe in New Zealand, and I'm committed to building up our youth so that they can find that safety and comfort and joy that they had prior to the events of 2 years ago. And that's what I'm dedicated to.
As a Muslim, what I would love is to be able to give everyone the gift of Islam. It's if you truly learn what true Islam is and what the message of Allah and their Prophet, peace be upon him, gives us, is perfection. The Quran is perfection. And if we truly take everything in its context, we can all become happy. We can live very contented lives. We can be patient with one another. We can be kind to one another. Allah has given us all a life, and He's given us the tools to learn and be guided by the right ways to live, our behaviours, the way we treat one another, the way we should help one another and feed the poor and charity. There's so much that I can't cover it in just one small sentence, but you know, the peace that it's given me and the gift is just, it's quite strange, because it's a gift that is so big, so encompassing, that you can't describe how beautiful it is. And I would love to give it to everybody. You know, all those special little things that we can do to help one another. I would never want to go back to what it was before I'd accepted Islam. And I just would love to see everyone get a little piece to understand that how beautiful it is, and to be able to experience that little piece, because if you experience one little piece of what I can do to help, then maybe, inshallah, God willing, that they can experience more pieces of it.
Oh yeah, I was to the Muslim community of Aotearoa. This type of thing should bring us together more so than anything, and deal with. We are able to deal with events and support each other and support our people, and really, and this is where the kotahitanga comes in. That we are mixing with. Dealing with all types of people, no matter where they are, whether it's the Prime Minister, whether it's the homeless person, it doesn't matter. We are all one people. Our community, we need to stick together and be a part of all these communities out here, not only in town, but also out in the marae, in the country and so on.
I'm proud to be a Kiwi and a Muslim.
Muslim Kiwi. Yeah. Kiwi Muslim.
Good job. Good job.
I just wanted, at the end of this interview, I would like to thank everybody who helped us, whether he is Muslim or non-Muslim. Thank those who came, because of you, I am here today. I'm able to talk. I'm able to stand my tall and speak to you and address you today. Because of the support, whether it is nationally or internationally. All the financial support, the spiritual support, that came to us. That is why I am standing today, and I am able to address, big issues like this, to share my thoughts about how to address the issue of racism and stuff. I would like to thank everybody. If any community, any church, any school, any university, whether it nationally or internationally, any country around the world, any people, any person, who sent cards to us and they shared, with us and supported with us during that time of sadness. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are there and will continue to our journey of healing, and because of your support, we are healing today. And I'd like also to thank you, brother, once again. And thank everybody. Thank you for everybody who is watching us today. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.